Good afternoon all. Yesterday lecture we discussed with last one, that is entomophily, and how the pollination occurs through insects. Okay, let us discuss with ornithophily. I told to you that pollination through birds known as ornithophily. Here in Strelitzia plant, the pollination occurs through sunburn. In Strelitzia plant, the pollination occurs through sunburn. Bignonia by hummingbird. Aloe vera also in aloe vera by sunbird. And in Salmelia crow and menas. So in these plants, the pollination occurs through this type of the birds. Among these all the birds, hummingbird is very common for pollination. Fine. Okay. Now Cheiropterophily. You know Cheiropterophily. Here pollination through bats. Here we say the example kadam. In kadam plant, pollination occurs through bat. And Kigelia. Sosa tree. Okay. In these two plants, pollination occurs through bats. Next is Melecophily. Pollination occurs through snail, Melecophily. Here, you know, the smallest plant, Lemna, smallest aquatic plant, Lemna. Okay. In this plant, the pollination occurs through sludge. Now, one thing we have discussed in 11th standard, that is mineral nutrients. You know that in mineral nutrients we have discussed that boron. So for pollen grain germination, boron is essential. Boron is essential for pollen grain germination. Okay, so pollen wall, it is developed with the help of the boron. So for pollen grain, boron is very essential there. Here, if we are talking about the style, you know that pollen grain is coming in contact with stigma, and over the stigma the chemotropism occur, and as a result pollen tube is developed. Now here the style is of two types, solid style and hollow style. Solid style generally occurs in the dicot plants and hollow style generally occurs in the monocot plants. So this is about the type of the style there. Now here, generally the pollen tube, it is entered into the ovule by micropylarene. But if the pollen tube, it is entered in the ovule, through which passage, through which area, according to that there are three types of the entry of the pollen tube into the embryo sac. If pollen tube is entered in the embryo sac through micropylarene, it is known as porogamy. The entry of the pollen tube into the embryo sac through micropylar region known as porogamy, and it is most common in angiosperm plants. Okay, whereas you see through integument layers. Patel. Prachi, write your full name, beta. So the entry of the pollen tube through the embryo sac through integument layers. So here through integument layers in cucurbita and through funiculus to the embryo sac, this is known as mesogamy. So all of you, can you know that syngamy, isogamy, anisogamy, like that? Fine. Okay, so this verify these all the words. Then through callosal tissues, it is known as callosogamy. And this type of the entry of the pollen tube into the embryo sac, it is seen in Casuarina and beet. The scientific name of the beetroot is Beta vulgaris. Fine. So this is about the entry of the pollen tube here. Now, double fertilization. As you know that at the time of the entry of the pollen tube into the through the micropylar. Yeah. So through porogamy, entry of the pollen tube into the embryo sac, initially two synergy cells are degenerated. Now the tip of the pollen tube is ruptured and it releases the two male gametes inside the embryo sac. You know that the first male gamete fuse with egg cell and form the zygote, and in future it is converted into embryo. At the center of the embryo sac, two polar nuclei join together and form the secondary nucleus. So, at the center of the embryo sac, the secondary nucleus fused with second male gamete, and this is known as triple fusion. Joining, but fission is division, like that. Triple fusion and PEMC is created. Primary endospermic mother cell. So at the center of the embryo sac, the secondary nucleus and second male gamete fuse together, triple fusion occur, and through this PEMC is created, and in our textbook PEN is given there. PEN. PEN, primary endospermic nucleus. Whereas if you have remembered in 11th standard, PEM is there, protein energy malnutrition, but this is PEMC, primary endospermic mother cell. Fine. So now in future, this PEMC it is converted into endosperm. So in angiospermic plants, the endosperm is triploid. Double fertilization is the unique feature, is the specialized feature in angiospermic plants, but we say that it is absent in gymnosperm plant. So why there is a requirement of the double fertilization? So double fertilization produce viable seeds. Okay, so angiosperm plant, the endosperm is triploid, 3N, remember. Whereas in gymnosperm plant, endosperm is haploid. So related to 11th standard, 3rd chapter, you have to remember all the examples of gymnosperm plants and angiosperm plants. Sometime in NEET exam, someone can ask that related to the gymnosperm plant, the number of the chromosomes are this many. And how many chromosomes are present in the endosperm of that plant. Suppose example, Sequoia sempervirens. Sequoia sempervirens is the longest plant, tallest plant in the world, 150-meter height, or we say that 400 feet length is there. So suppose example in Sequoia sempervirens 40 chromosomes are present. How many chromosomes are present in its endosperm? So this gymnosperm plant, it is sporophytic in nature. So naturally 40 chromosomes are present in it, but we have to half that. So 20 chromosomes are present in endosperm of it. Whereas instead of this Sequoia, eucalyptus can be asked like that, same chromosomes. So instead of the 20 answer, now you have to take the 60 answer. Because in angiosperm plant, yes, eucalyptus is angiosperm. So here endosperm is triploid. So according to that you have to give the answer. Fine. Now after fertilization, which part is converted into? In first chapter you know that after pollination all the walls of the flower detach from the flower. Fine. All the parts of the flower can be detached from the flower except gynoecium. So after fertilization what happened? Okay, which part is converted into which one? you have to remember something I had told to you in first chapter, flower. The wallflower, it is converted into simple fruit or aggregate fruit. You know that. In fruit only single ovary is included. That is known as simple fruit. And aggregate fruit if so many fruits are fused together. Just for example, custard apple. In custard apple so many fruits are arranged together. Strawberry, raspberry, fine, along with that calotropis. So these are under the aggregate fruit. So wallflower, it is converted into simple fruit or aggregate fruit according to the number of the ovary. Ovary wall. It is converted into wall of the fruit, also known as pericarp. Ovary is converted into simple fruit. And if so many ovary there, so each and every simple fruit join together and form the aggregate fruit. Ovule is converted into seed. Outer integument layer, it is converted into testa. Inner integument layer, is converted into tegmen. Nucellus, it is converted into perisperm. So this table you have to remember. Okay. So before fertilization and after fertilization, what happened? That you know it very well. So this is about the part of the flower which is converted into which part. Okay. Okay. Now discuss with the embryogenesis, how the embryo is formed. Here, all of you remember that in dicot plant, capsula type embryo development is there. Here in dicot plants, capsula type development is there. So capsula is a dicot one. Fine. So what happened in this capsula type? You know that at micropylar end, the zygote is formed. Now the zygote is mitotically divided and produce the two cells. Okay? Zygote is mitotically divided. It has produced the two cells. Now here, upper side, small cell is formed. And lower side, large sized cell is there. So upper side is the small cell. It is known as terminal cell or apical cell. Or embryonal or callosal cell. Yes, you know that at the apex of the embryo sac, callosa is there. So on the uppermost side, the small cell is known as terminal cell or apical cell or embryonal cell or callosal cell. Whereas the lowermost side, big cell is present. It is known as basal cell, also known as micropylar cell. Here, terminal cell or apical cell have affinity to divide vertically. So apical cell divided vertically, whereas basal cell or micropylar end cell, it has affinity to divide transversely. So here what happened, that zygote is first time unevenly mitotically developed and two cell stage is formed. Now after two cell stage, according to the divisional affinity, apical cell divide vertically and basal cell divide transversely. So the four celled stage is known as proembryo. Okay. So 4-celled stage is known as proembryo. Now here in this angiosperm, lowermost side basal cell lost their divisional capacity, so it becomes stable, and another basal cell divide mitotically and transversely. It produce 20 to 25 cell. Is known as suspensor. Now, what happened? Due to formation of suspensor, so suspensor push apical cells towards endosperm, because you know that the centermost side endosperm is there. So due to formation of the suspensor, yes, the lowermost basal cell lost its divisional capacity. Apical basal cell continuously divided and produced 20 to 25 cells long suspensor, and due to formation of the suspensor, the apical cell pushed towards the endosperm. The topmost of the cell of the suspensor known as epiphysis. Hypophysis. So this is all about the basal cell. This whole thing is about the basal cell. Now, due to pushing through suspensor, due to pushing of the apical cells towards the suspensor, now apical cells obtain the nourishment from the endosperm. Now apical cell divide vertically, but the direction of vertical division, the next direction is exactly perpendicular to it. So the division is like this. Okay? As a result, here what happened? Yes, once apical cell is mitotically divided vertically in proembryo. So now the next division is started exactly perpendicular to previous division, like that. So 4 cells are formed. Another mitotic division, 4 become 8 1. Another mitotic division, the 8 becomes 16 1. So think 4 times vertical division occurs and 16 cells are formed from the apical cells. from the apical cell, the end of the mitotic division, the two 16 cells are formed. And now the 16 cells form the two octant. The uppermost octant is known as apical octant. And lower one is known as micropylar octant. The same name applied here, apical octant or Galazal octant. So now here in capsule type plant, see please all of you remember here, from these three, hypophysis, apical octant and basal octant, the whole plant is developed. Let me tell you that which part is formed by which part of the embryo. Which part of the plant can be formed by which part of the embryo. So first of all, I will take apical octant. So through apical octant, okay, the two cotyledons and epicotyle forms. You know that epicotyle is a region. I had already explained in 11th standard that epicotyle is the region between the cotyledon and plumule is known as epicotyle. So just above the epicotyle, plumule is there. Later on I will tell you. Okay, next one, that is basal octant. So through basal octant here, hypocotyle, so from the basal octant, hypocotyle and central part of the radicle it is formed. So hypocotyle, you know that the region between the cotyledon and radicle, that region is known as hypocotyle. And last one, that is hypophysis. So from the hypophysis, periphery part of radicle and root cap develops. Okay, so from these three parts of the embryo, the whole dicot plant it is formed. So let me tell you what is epicotyle and what is hypocotyle. Understand it properly. The region between The region between cotyledon and plumule is known as epicotyle, and you know that just above the epicotyle plumule is there. So just above the epicotyle plumule is there, and plumule forms the shoot system in future. Now, what is hypocotyle? The region between the radicle and cotyledon, that is known as hypocotyle. Just below the hypocotyle radicle is there. So if you properly understand this, so plumule, epicotyle, cotyledon, hypocotyle, radicle. In this way, the whole embryo axis possesses the different parts. Here, the dicot plant is there. So, in dicot plant, taproot system develops. So, radicle in future it forms the root system, whereas the plumule forms the shoot system. So, this is about how in the dicot plant the embryo is developed. Now, I can make the separate part monocot plant. Dear students, actually we had learned this in 5th chapter of 11th standard, this one. Fine, but briefly I will inform you. In monocot plant, you know that we had drawn the diagram of the maize seed. The outermost layer known as hull. Actually, in the maize seed, the fruit wall, pericarp and seed coat both are fused together, known as hull. Just below the hull, eleuron layer is there. So it possesses the proteinaceous layer. Now, the most important thing, the very important thing, In NEET exam, one time the question was asked that what is scutellum? Scutellum is nothing but it is cotyledon. Okay, and here this scutellum consists the embryo axis, and you know that this embryo axis possesses the two regions, one side plumule and one side radicle. So here the plumule is covered by the protecting layer known as coleoptile. The scutellum possesses the embryo axis, plumule and radicle. So plumule is covered by protective layer So according to this word you remember here, P2P, plumule coleoptile, and here to radicle. Coleorhiza. So according to the radicle, so R to R, radicle, coleorhiza and plumule, P2P, coleoptile. So in this way, the monocot plant in that the embryo is developed. But here only one question is that scutellum is what? It is seed, fruit, cotyledon or all of this. So you have to remember only that scutellum is nothing but cotyledon. So thank you very much to all. Hope you understand this. Next thing we will discuss in next lecture. Okay, good afternoon all. Last lecture we had discussed with RH positive and RH negative, and who is universal donor and who is universal recipient, and all the things we had discussed with it. Now I want to tell you one medical case. I want to share one medical case with you. Mother, father and child. Understand it carefully. Pay attention here. The most important one. Only one thing you remember from this topic, then whole topic is over. Fine? First case. If mother is RH positive, father is RH positive, the child will be also RH positive. At the beginning of this topic I had told to you that blood group is inherited. So if mother is positive, father is positive, the child will be also positive. Mostly not in all, but in very rare case might be negative, but not possible from my side, from my experience point of view. Fine. If mother is Rh negative, father is also Rh negative, the child is also Rh negative. Now, the most important one, carefully understand this. Mother is Rh positive, father is Rh negative. And the child will be Rh positive or Rh negative. But the next one, mother is Rh negative, father is Rh positive, the child will be Rh positive or Rh negative. But here I want to write something important thing. This is the most important one. The most important thing is this here. Now you are confused behind this. Let me clear. Now you are confused behind this. Sir, upside you had written that mother is Rh positive, father is Rh negative, the child will be Rh positive or negative, all the children can survive. Here, this one is the best example of Rh incompatibility. Let me explain in this detail. Mother is Rh negative and father is Rh positive. Please keep it in your mind. Again, mother is Rh negative and father is Rh positive. During first pregnancy, Rh negative mother receive Rh positive sperm. Yes. Mother is negative, ovum is also negative. Because blood group related genes are present in the chromosomes of ovum. Similarly, if the father is positive, so sperms consist Rh positive blood group for that gene present on the chromosomes. So Rh negative mother receive first time Rh positive sperm. Now Rh positive sperm acts as an antigen for that mother. Fertilization occurs, no problem at all. And at the time of the fertilization, the sex of the baby as well as the blood group of the baby is decided. Either it is positive or negative. But majoritarily here what happened? Rh negative mother receive first time Rh positive sperm, and if majoritarily the baby is Rh positive. Majoritarily the baby is Rh positive because see 10th standard you had learned with the Mendel experiments. In Mendel experiment you had learned with the word, you are aware of this word dominant and recessive. So here the antigen on the RBC, the gene responsible for this are dominant. Similarly here Rh positive is dominant over Rh negative blood group. So majoritarily here what happened, mother is Rh positive and father is Rh negative. So in child mostly I observed that Rh positive blood group is there. Why here the answer is that Rh positive is dominant over the Rh negative type. I mean to say antigen A, antigen B, Rh factor, these three are dominant over antibody A, antibody B and Rh factor against antibody. So majoritarily here what happened, the wife is Rh negative and the husband is Rh positive. So majoritarily the child will be Rh positive. So if child will be Rh positive, now pay attention here, listen it carefully. Against this Rh positive embryo, mother produce Rh factor against antibody. The baby growing in the womb of the mother acts as an antigen for her. Now gradually the mother produces antibody against embryo. Sir, is there a chance to kill the embryo by this antibody? No, not in this case. First child growth and development will be normal and the child delivery is normal or whatever, normal or seizure or vacuum, whatever what type of delivery is there, but child can survive. Now after first delivery of the child, the mother possesses already produced antibody against Rh positive baby in her blood. Now second time, when pregnancy occurs, mother is ready to fight against the Rh positive embryo. Why? Because previously at the first pregnancy, the mother can't possess antibody against Rh positive baby. But right now, her blood consists all the antibodies. So at the second time pregnancy, what happened? Antibodies transferred through placenta to the embryo. At the second pregnancy, I am talking about this, okay? At the second pregnancy, the antibodies present in the blood of mother, at the second time pregnancy, it transferred through the placenta to the embryo. What it can do? The antibody kills all the RBCs of developing embryo. It breaks all RBC as well as it prevents the formation of the new RBCs. As a result, what happened? In embryo, blood will not form. Blood will not form, then what happened? Circulation is stopped. Nutrient supplement and waste products removal process is totally disturbed. Embryo will die. So, according to this point, I want to tell you So embryo will die, and second death of the embryo is due to hemolysis. So the breakdown of the RBCs of the embryo by presence of the antibody that is present in the mother's blood, and it causes hemolysis, and due to hemolysis one disease is created in the embryo. It is known as erythroblastosis fetalis. So second embryo will die. Third time pregnancy, third time embryo will die. Next onwards all the embryo will die. Is there any treatment for this? Yes. What we can do here, at the time of first pregnancy, so here what happened, that if Rh negative mother is pregnant and her husband is Rh positive, so at the time of medical checkup during first pregnancy, so the history can be taken from mother. Mother tell us that she is Rh negative and her husband is Rh positive. At that time we have to give one vaccine to mother. Now it is our responsibility to alert the mother that first embryo will survive, but if you take this vaccine then second embryo will also survive. But if you can't take the vaccine, then this will happen. We have to explain this wall to Rh negative mother. So when we give the vaccine to mother, so that vaccine acts as a barrier between embryo and mother's blood. Mother blood cannot recognize the Rh positive embryo. As a result, mother cannot produce the antibody against the Rh positive embryo. I mean to say that each and every pregnancy on that, mother has to take that vaccine again and again at the time of each pregnancy. But first time, if first time the mother cannot take the vaccine, but second time she want to take the vaccine, so there is no effect of vaccine there. At once, first time we have to give it, then the effect will be created, otherwise not. Okay, so this is known as hemolytic disease, erythroblastosis fetalis. So this is the example of the Rh incompatibility.